John.
I feel so privileged. It's Friday night, and rather than hanging out at the pub or anybody else, you're hanging out with SimplyThick John. That's kind of crazy, really.
Well, I could have thought of some better things to do for my Friday evening, but hey, let's give it a go.
Let's give it a Well, I certainly feel the love and the privilege of having you join me. So I do appreciate it. And, you know, I guess we should just get rolling because I think we're going live about right now. So, hey everyone, it's SimplyThick John. I am welcoming you back to SimplyThick John and Friends. It's the show where we talk about dysphagia without it making you feel like it's a big medical lecture. And more specifically, we talk about IDDSI and all things around dysphagia diets. I'm your host, John Holohan, founder of SimplyThick, and I am a thickener and I can't say the word today, enthusiast. This is the show for anyone who's cared for people with swallowing problems or had challenges getting the food made and you just want it simple, safer, and more dignified. Whether you're a clinician, a chef, a caregiver, or a curious problem solver, welcome. You're in the right place. And as always, you know, put it in the comments where you're joining us from, because I know this time we have a guest all the way from the UK. So I'm expecting we'll have people from around the globe joining us today. And today is all about better food presentation. And we're going to try something completely crazy today. Andy has offered to show us how fast he can plate food. We're going to save that for the end to kind of keep you on the hook, because one of the things that I always hear from people sharing that content is, yeah, we can't do that. It takes too long. It takes too long. And so Andy's here to help dispel that myth today. And in fact, if all works out, we're going to bring on a special guest who's never piped food before, so Andy can show you that you can train anybody. Andy, why don't you take a moment and just introduce yourself so everybody knows who you are, because to me, you need no introduction, but maybe to the rest of the world you do.
Hello, everybody. For those that haven't seen me before, my name's Andy. I've got a training company called the IDDSI Guy Limited. The IDDSI Guy Limited is a trading name only. Some people ask how I ended up with that name, and as I've said to you before, John, I used to go into kitchens many times. People couldn't remember my name, and they used to go, "Oh, you're the IDDSI Guy." So hopefully we're going to have a little bit of fun today. I've never tried this before in my own kitchen, and we're going to see what happens.
Well, it promises to be a fun, challenging thing. I was kind of, as we were getting on, as I said to you guys, it was reminiscent of some of the first times we did webinars where we were making food. And we started with just our laptops and a webcam and a kitchen that wasn't even ours. And we had 2 laptops set up on top of milk crates, and we had cameras, and we were like tripping over each other, but we got it done. And the response from the audience was always great. People seem to always be looking for that hands-on and the real demos versus the book learning or talking about things. So let's start and talk about SB6, soft and bite-sized 6. For those of you that are out there, a lot of us who get into the IDDSI lingo, we like to refer to MM5 for minced and moist level 5, SB6 for soft and bite-sized level 6, because those are the IDDSI acronyms. So I get a lot of questions about what are we going to do for soft and bite-sized level 6. Let's start there and see what you're doing.
Okay. So to start with, whenever I'm doing my modified meals, I use a thick disposable piping bag. Now, the trouble with these is, if I cling film this and tie the end and I store this in the hot cupboard, if I have any air in the bag, the air will allow the mix to cook and it goes crispy. So to get your air out, if you hold the bag and you flip it down, you can then tie it. And as you can see, there's no air in there. You can keep these bags in the hot cupboard for up to 45 minutes. So when I'm doing my mashed potato, John, a lot of people find the mashed goes hard. What I do is I put it back on the stove and I dry it out. Once I've dried the mashed potato out and taken a lot of the water away,
yep,
I add just a little bit of butter, milk, and milk powder. What you're going to see now is my mash is completely stone cold. But as I'm taking that starchy water away, it's not going to go hard. So when we're holding piping bags, I always try and get people to hold it with their hand here and steer from the top. Because what we've got to remember is if this is hot and I tip it like that, it's all going to just run out. Whenever I'm doing anything, I try and start in the middle of the plate, work my way out. Technical hitch. We're going to start, start in the middle plate and work our way out. Okay, I do everything in circles. If we squeeze from the bottom, we get a nice layer of mash.
Very nice.
So when I hear people talking a lot about level 6, I think there is a lot of confusion. And what I mean by this is the size of your level 6 is 1.5 centimeters. So we look at our standard fork, it's the distance between that prong and that prong.
Right.
So as we can see, our food particle fits in between. But if you
Yep.
can have a look at this food particle, it's completely square. And I think that's where the misconception is, because your level 6 soft and bite size is actually two-dimensional. What I mean by that, so it's thin there, there, and there. Now, the reason it's like that is because if we have a slice of meat, okay, obviously we're not going to want to have it in a thick dice like this because it's going to be chewy.
So what you're saying is that you like to cut one of the dimensions a little smaller than the 1x5 that's allowed.
Yeah, just got to remember it's two-dimensional, John, and it doesn't have to be a square. So here I've got a little bit of beef stew. We've got some carrots in there. Okay, this would obviously all be hot. We then take our carrots. Again, these would be stored underneath the hot cupboard. And then we're going to be using peas, which is a problematic ingredient. So what we're going to do is we're just going to puree them, stick them through a sieve, and just pipe them on a plate. How long did that take?
3-4 minutes tops.
But if I wasn't talking,
And you were talking a lot, so it would have been much faster if you weren't talking.
yeah. And as we can see, all our carrots will easily break down as we need them to. So
Okay.
we're looking for around about 390 grams of pressure. And that is simply our level 6. Now, you may find that your speech and language therapist will turn around and say, additional gravy with that. You know, they're okay with problematic ingredients. All we can talk about here today, John, is the guide. The speech and language therapists are medically trained to make that decision.
Yep. So you just to go back, you did say that you take your peas, you puree it, and you sieve it.
Yep. And then when I'm pureeing my peas, try not to use a food thickener. So with my peas, I use some veg stock and a little bit of potato flakes.
Okay.
So everything I try and add adds goodness. If I was going to do a Sunday lunch, I might put a little bit of mint sauce in there. Just try and give it some flavour. Trying to stay away from them saturated fats.
And by adding the potato flakes, you're actually taking advantage of the starches in the potatoes to provide your thickening and to hold it together.
Because when we look at a food thickener, I don't think a lot of people actually realise there's no nutritional value in it whatsoever. So if we can start adding value back, it's just going to benefit the person that's eating the meal.
Right. Right.
Where do you want to go now, John?
Let's talk about serving sizes. How do you control your serving size? That's the other question I get. People say, oh, I can't pipe stuff because we need to serve 3 ounces of food.
Okay. Are you okay if I do a level 4 now? Because it'll be a prime example.
Yeah.
So here I've got a standard ring. What I've done is I've measured the standard rig on my scales. And then what I do is I get a rough guide. I know if I put up to 3/4 in here, it's going to be just under 4 ounces. Okay. Our standard here is 100 grams, which is just under 3.5.
Right.
So
you did a little homework is what you're saying. You measured it ahead of time.
yeah. So that's simply my protein, but my protein looks a bit flat and a bit boring, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So here I use what's called gravy browning. I don't know if you guys have it over there.
We have something similar, but I know when you tried to send it to me, it never made it.
I don't think customs liked it. So what we're going to do, we're just going to get a little bit of that on a brush. Okay, you can use a normal pastry brush. And we're just going to give it some markings. We go back to our standard good old mashed potato.
I'm feeling a little hungry now. You know, it's a little bit after lunch here.
Okay, so now this is carrot. So I'm going to do carrots 2 ways. The first way I'm going to show you is I'm going to start off small and I'm just going to get big.
You're using a very fine tip there.
So when I'm doing it, John, when I'm doing my vegetables, I try and keep it between 4 mil. So if we take that standard fork, that's the distance between the 2 prongs, and that's how I tend to cut it.
Okay. So back, how do you know that you're getting enough carrot and enough potato on there? Do you have serving size requirements for that as well?
We do, and again, that's measured. But when we do look at our vegetables and whatnot, we have a thing here called the Care Home Digest.
Yep.
So the Care Home Digest, it asks to try and stay away from saturated fats where possible, and build in what's called nutrient-dense foods. So with my carrots, when I blend my carrots, I'll put in a little bit of orange juice and I'll use red lentils to try and thicken. With my peas, exactly the same. So I'm adding all that extra protein in. So now I've got my carrots on the plate there. Just give them a little top.
With your peas?
With my peas. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get rid of any of the white that's just around the centre. Then this way, if somebody looks down, I've got less chance of overphasing them with the plate. And that's how quick a level 4 puree is.
And it looks beautiful. Somebody did ask in the chat if this is going to be recorded. And for people who are not used to LinkedIn Live, this will live on as a post in my normal LinkedIn feed. So you'll be able to watch this afterwards or to share it with people. You can repost it to your LinkedIn feed as well. And it does live there and stay there as a video that people can watch.
Now, can I show you a little trick, John? Is that all right?
Sure. Yeah.
Now, sometimes when we have level 3 liquidized, I do feel people overthink it. And what I mean by that, I need to make sure I've got the right bag. What I mean by that is I see a lot of people struggle. So if we've got any level 3s, make sure we sieve our level 4 purees regardless. Okay. Now, once we've finished with our puree, if we just squeeze the bag, we can now put this back into the hot cupboard and this will stay hot.
Mm-hmm.
I then have a metal bowl. I rinse my metal bowl out with hot water because that way is going to take the coldness out of the bowl. I make sure my milk is hot. Okay. All I need to do now
put in some of that puree.
And add my hot milk. Could have been quieter. Now I'm doing it like this. I've negated the need for sieving.
Because you've already got the puree, so you already know it's smooth.
And we're running down the top of our fork.
Right.
We can mark it, and it's not holding its own weight. Now, if this is a little bit too thick, all I've got to do is add a little bit more hot water. If it's a little bit too thin, all I've got to do is add a little bit more puree. So I'm not using a food thickener. This way, I can do my level 3 to order.
Yeah. And there's not, you don't get a lot of level 3 liquid diets, do you? Because I don't think we get a lot here.
We sometimes do, John, but they tend to be end of life.
Yep.
Or if somebody's not very well. But wherever possible, just if we are going to do a level 3, please don't put it all in a jug together. Put it in like separate little dishes, stuff like this, and don't store it in a hot cupboard because its shelf life is very, very quick in the hot cupboard because it's a liquid.
Right. How I think as we're getting ready for this, we're talking about some of your food safety stuff, where you cook it and where you store it. Do you want to share that with people a little bit?
Sorry, I'm just wiping my hands.
It's all right.
So when I'm cooking my stuff, we've got to follow our food safety and we've got to follow our HACCP. Now, I see a lot of people, what they will do is they will do the food cold and then they will reheat it. I always find if I reheat modified food, I lose a little bit of the moisture, especially if we're doing this in an oven. So I always try and promote piping the food hot, blending it when it's hot. So when we're using things like a RoboCoupe, for example, it's got a metal bowl. Why don't you rinse the bowl out first with boiling water? That way, again, same as the bowl. A lot of people think you've got to stop the food dropping below 75. You haven't. You've got to stop it dropping below 63. So if we can keep it above that temperature, there's no need for us to reheat.
So 63 is about 145 in the US, and 75 is about 160. Is that right?
I'm just going to agree. Is that okay?
It's 165. Sorry, 165 and 145. So yeah, so it's about being very cognizant, and you're not going to reheat. So I do find that a lot of people want to prepare food and then store it hot and then serve it later, or to prepare it and reheat it. What's your experience with that, or why don't you like to do that?
Because I don't know if you found the same, John, when you're doing your tests. If you test, I don't know, for example, a cup of coffee, and you've made it to a level 3.
Yep.
It's going to react one way. When it goes, as it's cooling down, it's then going to react differently. The same with food. So if you make a hot food, even when you take things like a carrot, for example, okay, you take your carrot, you cook it, it's past your 390 grams test, but you leave it to go cold. It's then going to harden up. We talked earlier about the mashed potato. If you look at my mashed potato now, can you see how soft it is?
Yep.
And that's cold because we're taking a starch out. So I've always found, and I don't know if you agree, when we are dealing with hot foods, they can sometimes react differently when they go cold. When we thicken the cold food and we reheat it, again, sometimes it can react differently. What's your thoughts on it, John?
Well, to me, that's kind of the basics of the food science, and the starches getting cooked and cooling and retrograding and all that kind of stuff as well. And you got the same thing going on with proteins. So every time you heat and cool something, you're kind of changing the chemistry. a little bit. And sometimes it's significant and you can see a difference. Sometimes it's less significant and you don't notice it as much. So I can agree that we would prefer to just heat something once. And that, you know, a lot. I'm not the biggest fan of really well cooked vegetables. I can tell you that just from my life. And it, like, for a long time in my life, I wouldn't eat certain vegetables cooked because after they're canned and reheated, just the flavor just does not agree with me very well. But if I take a fresh vegetable and we just heat it once and then I eat it, I'm much more with that. So from the flavor standpoint, you can see changes as you heat cycle every time, as well as from the texture and the structure from just the basic food science.
I just also think as well, if we can blend the food when it's hot, keep it hot, reducing that risk. And if we're giving the food
Yeah.
to vulnerable people as well, I just think it's a win-win.
Right. And anytime you cool it off, then you get the bacterial risk. And it isn't just, how many bacteria grow. You can have things that can grow and produce a toxin. And then when you reheat it, it can still cause people to get sick. So just heating it once and keeping it there is a good way to go.
Shall we crack on with the level 5, John?
Oh, please, let's move on to level 5. I'm enjoying myself. It's a great Friday afternoon for me.
Okay, so again, we weighed out. Okay, now your level 5 is going to be that little bit different. Your sizing for your level 5, I feel like I'm preaching to God. So I see sometimes a lot of people, what they do is when they're doing their minced and moist, they decide that they're going to mash everything together. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And sometimes there's not really that need for it. So
No.
a lot of people don't actually realise that the sizing is 4 mil by 4 mil by 15 mil. So when we look at our level 6 soft and bite size, that's 1.5 centimetres, 15 mil. So when we're looking at our level 5 soft and bite size, as we can see, we're looking at around about that.
Yep. You can get little pieces of rice. You can get noodles. Things like that will work.
Now, for me, sometimes I find this is too dry and people may struggle. So what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of my puree and I'm going to mix it in with my carrots. This way, it's going to hold everything together nicely.
Yep.
I take my trusty ring.
So now when you're doing a mince, are you cutting your holes a little bigger than when you do your puree?
Yeah, just a little bit bigger. You'll find the bigger and smaller you cut your holes, the different shapes are going to be and different patterns you can get. So, as Dove said earlier, you've got a place called Target. Going and just buying some cheap mashed potato powder and practicing. It's absolutely brilliant. So, we're going to get 2 spoons. We're just going to mash the spoons together. Pop that on the side. Lift our ring. Mashed potato. And our good old peas. That's simple. What do you think?
Looks great.
Can I just say, John, everything that I'm about to talk about is my own personal opinion, okay?
Okay.
When I see people and they're doing modified foods, sometimes I see them and they're doing a swirl like that.
Right.
Or they're dragging a fork through it. Now, that looks really, really pretty, okay? But I'm now 80 years old I have dementia. What is it? And then also when you are doing the little thin lines and whatnot, if you do put that plate in the hot cupboard, it's going to dry out in seconds. I don't know if you agree.
I definitely agree that the goal is to get things to look appetizing and the way they go, and little thin lines. I mean, they're kind of pretty, but they would dry out very quickly, I'm sure.
Okay, we're going to finish off, John, with a level 7 easy to chew.
Okay. So all of your plates have included the all the different levels, really, because you have mashed potatoes on there, and now you're doing a protein.
Wherever possible, I will try and make everything look the same for somebody. What I mean by that's the wrong word, look the same. Have the same. Then that way they're not going to feel segregated. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And as you can see how quick they are. And that's my easy to chew. So with my easy to chew, what we've done with the beef here, we've braised it and we've cooked it for around about 4 hours so it gets nice and tender. If I'm ever doing any demos and I want to do it really quickly, I'm not going to lie to you, I use an air fryer and it does it in 20 minutes.
So what tips do you have for people about soft and bite-sized 6 meats and easy to chew meats? Because that seems to be a topic around, you know, the meat's going to get too hard, or it's not going to be able to pass the fork cutting tests and things like that.
So sometimes I see people when they're making stews and casseroles, for example, they don't fry the meat off. What they'll do is they'll put the meat in the pan raw, vegetables in there, and they'll boil it. For me, I believe, and it's my opinion again, if we fry the meat off first, it seals it, it traps in the molecules. I then make a nice sauce or gravy, I get it in with the meat, I get it in the oven, and I braise it. I always try and promote poaching, braising, steaming, and stewing. I find it makes the protein item more tender and easier to modify. The longer I can have that in the oven, the better. But even when we come down to our beef and our pork, you see so many people, they will cook the beef the day before. Well, if you've cooked the beef the day before, why don't you slice it, get it in gravy, and get it in the bottom of the oven? After a couple of hours, that will then fall through the fork.
So I know when we've talked before, you're always talking about thinking ahead is probably the best way I could say it. And so that's an example right there. I have beef today. I'm going to need it tomorrow. So I slice it thin, I put it in the gravy, and I have it ready to.
Yeah. It's like if I'm ever preparing my level 6 soft and bite size, John, when I'm getting the meat ready in the morning, like the chicken or the fish, I'll cut my chicken up when it's raw to that 1.5 centimeter size, fry it off separately, make that little bit of casserole. That can then go in the bottom of the oven. I can forget about it. I'll cut my veg up accordingly, put it in a little pan. With my level 7 easy to chew, just think smart. Try and stay away from them problematic ingredients. I mean, if we're making something like a cottage pie, a lot of people put tinned tomatoes in. Why don't they just literally put a hand blender through the tinned tomatoes, put them through a sieve into the mix? You've now still got your tomatoes, but you've now made it accessible for other people as well. If you can think smart at your early stages of preparation, you're only now really thinking about your levels 3, 4, and 5, which cuts down on you running around.
So I do have a question. I noticed you use the pureed peas on all your different plates, regardless of the level. Do you find people are objecting to getting a pea puree when I'm on a level 7 or a level 6 soft and bite size?
Sometimes people do, but I feel the whole idea of what we're doing is to try and educate not just the chefs, but we need to educate people that are eating the meal, family members, care team members. And if we explain to the people why we need to be staying away from problematic ingredients and the risks. But I have seen in the past, John, some speech and language therapists might turn around and say, do you know what? That person's okay with problematic ingredients. Each person must be treated as an individual when they're being assessed, and we must remember IDDSI is a guide. It's a language and not a law.
See, and part of what I was thinking is, you know, serving the pea puree across everybody helps, you know, make it so nobody's singled out. But at the same time, I'll go to a fancy restaurant and I'll be like, oh yeah, give me your puree. So if it's made well and it's tasty, it really doesn't matter, does it?
I don't think it does. I can get some really nice flavors in. It's like if I am doing like cauliflower and broccoli, for example, I watch everybody, a lot of people throw away the stalks and they'll throw away the leaves of the cauliflower. Why don't you just take the spine out of the cauliflower, chiffonade it? It's wonderful in a salad. It makes a beautiful stir fry. Awesome puree. Brings all the flavors out. Gives that like barky sort of taste. The stalks, again, you can peel them, give them a good boil in vegetable stock. You can puree them and turn them into level 5, Minster Moist. There's all these different things that we can build back in to boost the flavors, and then everybody would eat it because you turn around and say, well, I've pureed that because. Does that make sense?
So see what you're explaining right here is, and I'm just kind of smiling to myself because I'm like, Andy's forgotten more about making food than I've ever learned. And you know, you throw around the terms and you're like, I can do this and I can do that. And it blows my mind because my brain would hurt trying to think of all of that. And it just rolls off your tongue because of your training and stuff, which is why if you're a dietitian or an SLP or a, you know, whatever, let's bring the cook and bring the chef in. And I'm a firm believer that IDDSI is unlocking the cooking creativity of the chefs and people who've been trained. You guys have more techniques and you have the opportunity here to really show off your skills.
But can I just show you what my pet hate is, John?
Sure. Yeah. I wouldn't want to eat that.
That is my pet hate. Here in the UK, that's a safeguarding incident because we've taken somebody's choice away. But I think for a chef, that is probably one of the hardest things to deal with. They work hard enough in a kitchen. They go to all that hassle to try and prepare it, make it look nice, make sure it's safe, tasty, and then it gets all mixed in.
So one question about your techniques and your, I'll say, recipes. Do you have like a sheet or an email or, I don't know, a guide that you share with people when, I know you mentioned something about red lentils and you talked about some potato flakes, and do you have like a, I don't know, a blog post about ingredient selection or something that people who are curious can find Andy's tips?
Yeah, I've got some stuff from my website. I've also got some stuff that I give away that's free giveaways. If anybody would like any stuff that I do use, if they can either just drop me a message on LinkedIn, if they could just drop me an email, or just if you just type in the IDDSI Guy, you will find me. Drop me a message, and you know, any help you need, I'm more than happy to help. Any resources you need, I'll send them to you. I do a lot of work with Country Range, and we've done a couple of booklets now with some activity cards for next year. Anything I try and do, I try and make sure that it's given away free of charge. Then that way we're spreading the word and we're making everybody's lives easier.
And Andy's always been very good at sharing knowledge. And I can say that when I just reached out to him originally a couple of years ago, it was like, you know, instantly we were on a video call talking and just sharing tips and tricks back and forth. So it's always been, he's very true to that, sharing his best stuff with all of us. So to end this, let's bring on Dove, our behind the scenes production guy, and let's see if you can coach him through how to do a good presentation on in his LA kitchen here.
I am ready to go. I'm ready to disappoint.
What we're going to do, we're going to move over to the other side of the kitchen because I need to see what Dove's doing.
Perfect.
Okay. So as you can see, we've got a nice
Okay.
ninja air fryer.
Let's try to move that a little closer. How's that look?
Looking good, Duff.
Beautiful. All right, ready for instructions. I'm ready to embarrass myself. Let's go.
Okay, now the most simplest way to do this stuff is hold your pipe and bag from the bottom here.
Are we going to start with the mashed potatoes?
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Now, I always hold my bag from the top, not from the bottom. This way I can get closer to the plates. Because remember, if this is hot, it's all going to run out.
Okay.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start at the center of the plate, Dove, and we're going to do circles. Up, down, all the way up and all the way down. Now, if we go up, the more food we can then get on the plate is then going to appear less, so it's not going to overface somebody. How you doing there, Dove?
We're just getting started. I wanted to watch your full demo first.
Dove, you're doing great.
You had a better camera angle than I do, but you'll see the finished product in a minute, my friends.
Yep.
All right.
There
Do
we
you know
go.
what? That's not looking bad.
Yeah,
Now,
that's a great first try.
you haven't got a ring, Dove, so what I'd like you to do now is with your protein, we're going for yellow, aren't we?
We're going for yellow.
Okay. So we're going to go blob, blob.
Six blobs. You got
Six
it.
blobs, sir.
Blob, 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 blob.
Okay. Now, we're going to put some carrots on. Now, I want to keep this easy for you, so keep with me, Dove. You're doing great.
All right.
Okay. So we're going to do one dot. Then our second dot is going to be a bit bigger. And our third dot is going to be even bigger. And we're going to do that again. Small, medium, and large.
Okay. And that's my carrots are going to be bright red. So small is the closest. Got it. Small.
You do realise that your wife's going to have you cooking in the kitchen now, Dove?
Yeah. I was like, what's funny is that this food coloring has completely tinted my nails for the next week. All right. There's my carrots. This one needs a little more love.
Okay. Now, whatever colour you're going for with your last vegetables, we're just going to give the top of our carrots a little coat. And then we're going to go blob, blob, blob. And then that's our peas.
So the peas in between the carrots. All right. Let's do it. Boop. Boop.
I love the sound effects, stuff.
Yeah. And don't forget to put the tops on your carrots too.
Funny is these colors obviously don't look like food to me, but my kids are going to absolutely love to eat snow cone food. Look at that.
What's a snow cone?
Yeah, it's the snow cones are like they would put the flavored syrup on, and you have your choices of flavor are red, blue, and yellow.
Yep.
They don't correspond to a real flavor. They just have a color.
Okay, Dove, you can't do this, but I can because I want to try and be a bit flashy. So I'm just going to put a little bit of parsley over my meal.
Ah, well, had you given me the opportunity to bring some parsley, I could have made mine more beautiful.
So, and all this is I've done a parsley puree and we've frozen it down and we're just going to put it through a grater.
Oh, you're using frozen parsley, huh?
Yeah, just
Frozen
turn it in.
parsley puree. Ah, that's good. So I want to thank Dove for jumping on here to show us that, you know, you can learn real quick.
Let's have a look then, Dove.
Oh, you want to see the final? There we go.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
For somebody who's never piped, Dove, that's really good.
I mean, when I've seen what John has showed me that sometimes goes on to regular plates, I mean, I'd eat this. It's a lot better. All right, guys, I'll let you guys wrap up. Thank you for having me on.
So, I mean, I think that was a great demo, showing how you do it, tips and tricks, how you're making your food, showing how easy and fast it can be to prepare the plates, and then showing that even beginners can learn these techniques really quick. So I think that's been a great episode, really. And I appreciate you, giving part of your Friday night. And I know you probably spent a couple hours getting ready for this. So I really appreciate it. And I'm sure everybody who watches it will too.
As always, John, thanks very much for having me. And if anybody does need anything, just get them to reach out, because we're all one big family in IDDSI.
Right. And you're right. When you type in the IDDSI Guy, you'll get your website, or you're very prolific on LinkedIn as well. And I think every Friday you post some really awesome pictures of what you were doing during the week. So it's always inspiring to see. And
thanks very much, sir.
As my second time guest, I greatly appreciate it, having you come back and really showing people the techniques and the tricks. So
thank you so much for having me once again.
All right, thanks a lot. And we'll be back next week, everyone, with Alexa from Rubicon Foods, and we're going to talk a little bit about bread and bread things and how to deal with that. And also talk about the fact that Alexa and I are going to do a webinar in early November. So we'll see you next week. And thanks, everyone, for joining us.